This is some guided instruction for you on completing the guided project 8-1 assignment in SimNet. I'll be following the Windows instructions. If you have a Mac and you have been added to the virtual desktop, you can get that running and still follow the Windows instructions on the virtual desktop. So the first thing you want to do is download your start file. That is going to be named this Boyd Logistics 08 with your name attached to it. And so you want to download that and have that open and ready. And I will be following along with the SimNet instructions. The first step is to open the file, and you're going to go to Options, File Options, and go to the Trust Center. So you just see Trust Center here, and then Trust Center Settings is what you want to choose. And we are going to choose this about macros. So go to Macro Settings, and you should have Disable VBA Macros with Notification. That should be selected, and click OK. All right, the next thing is to customize the ribbon, and click. Once you have this pane showing for customize the ribbon, just scroll down and make sure you have the developer tab added in. So this box should be checked. Once you've done that, click OK. All right, the next step is to save this workbook as a macro-enabled template. So we need to choose File, Save a Copy. And here we're going to choose the macro-enabled template, which is this .xltm format. Choose that and click Save. Okay, that is everything through step 3. Now we're going to begin recording a macro. So just to check that you have your file saved in a location where you can find it again, I have saved mine in a file on my computer, so you should not be in your downloads. Make sure you save it in a place where you can find it. Mine is in my Excel Chapter 8 folder. There's my original file that I downloaded, and I just saved it as a macro-enabled template. So there is the additional file that just was created when I saved a copy of that. So now I'm going to go back to the instructions and pick up at step 4, recording a macro. All right, so now we're going to click the Use Relative References button to enable that command. So you go to your Developer tab, which you should see at the top of your sheet now. Developer tab. Here is the Use Relative References button. I'll click that. Next, I will click cell H1 and then click the Record Macro button. So go back to this code group and click the Record Macro button. All right, now I'm going to, according to the instructions, name this date stamp. It doesn't require a shortcut key. I want to store it in this workbook, and then in description I'll type insert date text and click OK. All right, now in H1 I'm going to type equals 2, and here's the today function. I'm going to double click on that to select it and hit enter to finish that function. And that enters today's date in cell H1 and moves the insertion point to cell H2. So you can see that H2 is now selected. I'm going to use the up arrow to go back to H1. And now I'm going to, on my keyboard, hold down Control and C. That will copy today's date to the clipboard. and then I'm going to press Control V to paste the date in cell H1. Okay, that displays the Paste Options button that you see pop up right here. The next step is to choose from the Paste Options button. I'm going to choose Paste Values. All right, and that replaces that today function with just the value of today's date. I'm going to escape to remove the moving border, and I'm done with my macro, so I'm going to press the Stop Recording button here. All right, and then I can click the Use Relative References button to disable that command. Okay, I got a message here saying that my macro was successfully recorded. I don't need to save this as an Office script in addition to a VBA, so I'm just going to discard that. You may or may not get a message pop up like that. Okay, so now we are done with that macro. Now we're going to test the macro. Let's delete the contents of cell H1. Go back to H1 and you can delete the contents there. My delete key on my keyboard was not working for that. I had to actually go into the formula bar and select that text and backspace. All right, so now I can run that macro to replace that date. So let's try that again. Select cell H2, click the macros button. There's our date stamp macro. I'm going to select that and click the run button. Now the date is showing in cell H2. And delete the contents of H2. Okay, now we're going to record another macro, moving on to step 6. We're going to record a macro with absolute references to display unique contractor names. All right, so first of all, we'll confirm that the Use Relative Reference button is not active. It's not. If it were active, it would be outlined. Now it's active. I'm going to make it inactive. So there's no line around it. Done that. Now we're going to click the Record Macro button. That didn't work for me. I'll click it again. Okay. There we go. Now we're going to name this one Sort Unique. Do not use a shortcut key. Verify this workbook is where we're storing it. And then in the description box, we'll type display contractors for this period and click OK. All right, select cell I5. Now we'll click the Lookup and Reference button. So we'll go to the Formula tab. Here's Lookup and Reference, and we're going to find the Sort function. There's the Sort function. And the array argument is a nested unique function. So we'll click the name box arrow. And choose More Functions. And we're going to find the unique function. So I'll start typing. UNI, there it is, the unique function. And when I double click that, it nests the unique function within the sort function. So you can see in your formula bar that my innermost function is the unique function, and that's the one I'm going to work on next. So now I've selected the unique function. I'm going to select cells B5 through B32 as my array. Just a little bit. So here's B5 through B32. All right, and notice that that is a table, so it's using table structure in naming that array. Okay, and now click Sort in the formula bar. And it takes us back out to that sort function. So the unique argument is in that first array argument. All right, and we're going to, that's all that we need to specify there, so click OK. And then click the Stop Recording button. So I'm going to go back to the Developer tab. Here's Stop Recording. I'll click that. All right. So there's a unique list of those contractors right there in I5. Okay, now we're going to test the macro. Let's select cell I5 and press Delete. Okay. Then we'll select cell A3, click the macros button, select Sort Unique, and click Run. Okay, so the macro runs in cell I5 just as we recorded. All right, so let's delete those results again. Okay, at this point I'm going to save and not close my workbook. I'm just going to save to be sure that I keep the work that I've done so far. And next we will move on to step 8. Now we're going to insert some controls and we'll assign the macros to those controls. So this is also in the Developer tab. You have in the Controls group this Insert button, and we can choose what we want to insert. We're going to click the button, that's this first top left one, Form Control, and then click cell J2. So I need to scroll to where I can see J2. All right. I'm going to select Date Stamp as the macro that I want to assign to it and click OK. All right, so now I have a button there that has that macro assigned to it. I'm going to right-click the button and choose Edit Text. I'm going to name it Stamp Date. Exit. Now right-click the button again and choose Exit Edit Text. The label does not fit in the control, so we're going to not do anything about that right now. Next, we're going to click the Insert Controls button, choose and insert another control, another one of those buttons in J5. And this one is going to be assigned the Sort Unique macro. Click OK. And I will edit the text on that one to be contractors. The next step is to resize and align these two controls. So we're going to right-click the Stamp button and then hold down Control and right-click the contractor button, and you should have both of them selected. Once you have both of them selected, you'll see in your tabs up at the top, you should see this Shape Format tab, so click on that. And then in the Arrange group, there is this Align button. You're going to choose Align Left. All right, so that left aligns both of them, and then we're going to change the height. So that's in this size group. For the height, we're going to change that to 0.45. And the width is going to be 1.25. Okay, while they are both selected, drag them so that the top left corner of stamp date is in J2. Mine is in J2, so I'm going to leave it just like that. And then click cell H1 to deselect those controls. All right, now we're going to go back into a macro and edit it. So we're going to right-click the Contractors button next and click the Visual Basic button. So we need to go back to our Developer tab. And here is the Visual Basic button. So you do need to have this button selected, and then you can click the Visual Basic button. Okay, we're going to display the Project Explorer window. Okay, and it happens to already be displayed here, but if it is not, you can go to View, and from there select Project Explorer. All right, now we need to display the code window. View Code. There's our code window. And now we're going to edit the code line in the Sort Unique macro to select cell H5 instead of I5. And if this is not showing for you, you need to go to this Modules folder, expand that, double click on Module 1, and then this code should open up. So you can see here is the code for your date stamp macro and for your Sort Unique macro. So in the Sort Unique macro, scroll over, you can see all of that. You can see right here it says the range to select is I5. We're going to change that I to an H. All right, I'm going to save that. Next, we'll press Alt F11. Okay, that didn't work for me, but I'm going to close this window. If Alt F11 doesn't work, what you need to do here is close this and go back to your worksheet to cell A3. So I'm going to close the Visual Basic window and go back into my worksheet to cell A3. All right, step is to document the macros. So let's select the Documentation Sheet tab. At the bottom of your worksheet window, you'll see that. Select cell A3 and type name. In B3, you'll type purpose. In A4, you'll type date stamp. And in B4, you'll type insert the current date as text. All right, press the down arrow to move to cell B5 and type assigned to the stamp date button. In A7, type sort unique. And then in B7, you'll type display the names of contractors. And then in B8, assigned to the contractors, it's got to be a capital C, button. Okay, let's apply all borders to A3 through B8. That's in Home. Font. Apply all borders. Size A through B so that all text is showing. So I'm going to auto fit those. All right, and then apply bold formatting to A3 and B3. And center alignment to those cells. Now I'm going to select the Stats Sheet tab, select and delete cells A5 through F32, point to the table resize arrow in F32, and drag up to size the table to end at cell F7. So I'm just going to, I grabbed that handle and I drug it up to F7. Okay, you want to check that to make sure that that worked, that step of resizing the table. It might not have. You can check by going to, if you click in the table, you should, since it's an Excel table, you should get the Table Design tab. So go back to the top, click Table Design, and there's a Resize Table button here. You can also use that to resize a table. But this table should now end at F7. Let's click there. Mine does end at F7. If yours does not run from A4 to F7, then you can edit that row number right here. Just type in the correct row number of F7 and then click OK. All right, then we'll select cells A8 through F32. And clear the formats. So under, I believe that is under editing, there is a clear button and you can say clear formats. Okay, and that takes all of the formatting on the cells out of those rows. All right, click in cell A5, click Save on the title bar to save your template. All right, next we're going to enter a few records into this table. That is shown here. Some data is given. I'm going to pause the video while I enter that data, and you do the same. Okay, hopefully you were successful in entering all of that data. Now we're going to move on to step 14, run the macros. Let's select cell H2 and click the stamp date button control. That puts today's date. Click cell H5 and we're going to run the contractors, this macro. So click this button and it lists the unique list of contractors that we find in our table now. Now select cell F7, press Tab, and a new row displays and calculates in the contractors list as a 0. You can see that there's another row of data now to enter into the table, so pause the video and complete that step. When you're done with that, the last thing is to select cell A5 and save your downloaded start file as an Excel workbook for grading in SimNet. So I'm going to save this as .xlsx workbook and click Save. I'm going to replace the existing file where I've saved it. And it said, I get this message, the following features cannot be saved, BB project. And I'm going to click yes to go ahead and save. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to save and close the workbook. And the one that I'm going to upload is my .xlsx project file. All right, so hopefully you got the same result. If you have any further questions, be sure to reach out to your instructor for some additional help.